election coverage. Dan is mayor-elect. He was top vote getter, had over 3,000 votes. The number 2 finisher was Carol, was top vote getter, had over 3,000 votes. The number 2 finisher was Carol Casaboon, who was basically currently a commissioner. Finishing number 3 was
Marissa
Morello, who had served a period of time on the city commission. And then, of course, my buddies, Rick Cott and Sherman Taylor, finished 4th and 5th, respectively.
Yes.
And, of course, you know, it's interesting. You guys can meet now because you're not elected.
Right.
So are you going to meet?
We have been communicating. You know, what the nice thing about this team is we are getting along so well, and I know a lot of commissions start out that way. But we are talking. We're going to get together and formulate a game plan. We have a lot of plans to really have a real plan formulated before we get in there, so we can hit the ground running. And the nice thing about this commission, we call ourselves the Dream Team because we are already working together so well. We are communicating well with each other, and we're actually going around and picking up each other's signs for each other.
Oh, that's really nice.
So we're doing, you know, we've all kind of chipped in because you only have 48 hours to take the signs down. And
well, some of these commissioners should know that.
Well,
the ones that ran for commission, not the current commissioners.
There's still some that are out there, but we were texting each other yesterday and said, hey, there's still some signs out. You want me to grab yours? Grab yours, and everybody's pitching in and grabbing each other's signs. Yeah.
Well, how many did you have out? 700?
I had a total of 700 signs out. So yeah, I think we only collected about 200. So I think
were stolen.
I think about 500 signs were stolen.
You said that the other night.
So somebody in Millville has a garage full of Dan Dixon signs. So if you'd like to return those, I don't know if I'll ever use them again. Maybe not, but
young.
yeah.
What gave you the interest to start getting involved in politics?
Well, last year, you know, I'll go back. Me and my wife talks about moving all the time. She sees the direction of the state. She sees the direction of the city, where the city's been going, you know, and she talks about, let's move down south. She has family down in Alabama. Let's move. And I said, you know what? Let me get in there and see if I can give it a shot. Let me see if I can make a difference. Let me see if I can bring a vision to the city that sends the city in a different direction. And I had made my mind up to do it early in the year in January, and then, you know, there were some personal things that that happened, and I said, you know, I'm not going to do it right now. I'm going to wait. And as I told you earlier, we were out about 3 months before the election. We were out at Olive Garden eating, and I was thinking about it, and I have some friends at the gym who I was training, and one of these friends came in. Every time he came in, he goes, I don't know who I'm going to vote for. I can't think of one person that I really want to vote for. And he's like, you got to run. And I was like, I don't know if it's the right time. And me and my wife were out to eat. And I said, you know what? Go on down to City Hall. I'll grab the petitions. I'll get my name on the ballot. And if it's meant to be, I'm not going to do put a lot of money into it. I'm not going to put, you know, a whole lot of effort into it. But if it's meant to be, it'll happen. And I'm not the type of person, you know, if I do something, you know, I can't do something halfway.
No, you do it 110%.
100, yeah, 110%. So I self-financed my campaign, put a lot of signs out, you know, had a lot of meet and greets, and put myself out there every chance I got, did a lot of research on things that we can implement in the city to make the city a better place. And I worked my butt off.
You did. And folks, I got to tell you truthfully, Dan's my neighbor, but I didn't really know him. He's on one end of Mallard, I'm on the other. But my daughter-in-law and son spoke highly of him because the thing that Dan talked about where his dog got out. My daughter-in-law grabbed the dog, brought it in the house, and called and let them know it was there. And she was saying what nice people they are. And anyway, Dan had called me to get together and meet with me. So that was probably a month ago, 2 months ago.
Maybe about 6 weeks ago.
Anyway, so we met in my conference room, and as I said, that's the first I've really talked to him. Well, by the time the hour and a half of information that we were sharing was over, I loved the man. I give him a hug. It's like, this guy is good. And honestly, this is the God's honest truth. I thought, He's bringing vision like I brought. He's got the same thing. You got to sell, folks. You got to have personality. You got to get out there, the businesses, and get them to come to Millville. Millville has a lot of great natural assets, but there was nobody in economic development, nobody out there selling. And Dan, I loved what you said. Tell everybody what you said about the last 4 years and the business development in Millville.
Oh, well, the last 4 years, you look at, the election's over, and, elections get pretty, vitriolic sometimes, but you look at the businesses that have been brought to Millville, and, you don't really see a ton of economic development. You see, I looked at, one of the ones, the thing I said in my campaign, I wanted to be fair to the current commission, and I looked up and did a bunch of research on what, a good amount of economic development for a city like ours would be. And I was looking at some cities, they, in 4 years, bring in 50, 60, 70 businesses, some 30 or 40, some, they bring in $2.9 billion worth of investment. And that was, just recent stuff that's going on. So you can't look back and say that was recent things going on. And, we really haven't brought the businesses in the last 4 years. 1 or 2 or 3 businesses, I'm not going to quibble over exact numbers, but 1 or 2 or 3 businesses in 4 years is not the direction. And I understand why. And you mentioned sales. It's a funny thing you mentioned sales. When I first got out of college, I ran out of money. We were talking a little bit ago. I ran out of money, and my first job was selling vacuums door to door.
No kidding.
Yeah, I worked for a company,
Oh,
a guy
that's
named Tony Passione, who ran Cumberland Filter sales type job I had. I did that for actually 3 years.
Wow,
I did it
that's
for a while,
fantastic.
and I became a recruiter for them. So I was hiring people and running the training programs for a little while. So I did that for a little while, and the very first job I had was an in-house sales job for Wheaton Glass Company.
Oh, wow.
It was a customer service job in their fragrance glass division. So I was handling the accounts in there for about a year, and then my first career path toward in the nursery business, I was working for, I don't know, do you know Dave Ferrucci?
No.
He was the mayor of Franklin Township.
Oh, okay.
He owned Ferrucci Nurseries, and I was customer service manager there for 3, almost 4 years. And so I had my own accounts that I held, and I talked to all the customers and did all the orders. And so dealing with the public and learning how to sell was a big part of that one. And then I went out on the road, became an outside sales rep in a brand new territory.
Wow.
So I didn't have any established clients. I had to go and cold call. I had probably about 150 clients by the time I was done my first job, and
Wow.
I built that territory up to about $3 or $4 million.
Oh my goodness, that's
from nothing.
fantastic.
Yeah. So, and it takes a lot of people when it comes to cold calling. It's tough.
Yeah, you
It's
bet
tough.
it
You
is,
have
yeah.
to.
Yeah.
You go into a busy garden center in the morning. 8 o'clock in the morning, and everybody's busy, and you have to get the purchasing guys or ladies attention and try to pull them aside for a little bit. And it's a tough business.
Yeah.
It's a tough business, but it
Yeah.
really teaches you how to get out there and beat the bushes for business, and how to deal with people, and how to have a personality that people. What I always say is, we were talking about this the other night. People buy from and do business with people they like.
Absolutely. Yep.
And if you don't have a commission that people like,
Yes.
they're not going to do business with Millville. So looking at the commission we have now, we have a terrific commission.
Oh, you got a lot of great people with great personalities.
And one of
which is nice.
the great thing was, I got to give it to Carol Cossaboon, because Carol's an amazing lady, because, she could have said, I want the most powerful position. I want, the revenue and finance. And she said, you know what? That's not my thing. And she gave that to Rick Cott.
That's super.
And her, that selflessness that she
It
had.
was very much so on her
I
part,
really
yeah.
appreciate Carol. I didn't really know Carol before this, but I had a long conversation with her the other day, and she's a very impressive woman, and I like her very much.
Her husband and I went to school together, but I don't know Carol that much. But all I hear is what you were just saying. Everybody, oh my God, Carol's so great.
Yeah.
Everybody loved her. She was at Holly Heights for 30 years, and she was secretary around the office, and people loved her there. And people at the Elks love her. And I'll tell you what, you got the Elks behind you. That really helped a lot. And for Carol, she did very well. Finished second. and has some experience and really cares about the town, and that's important as well. I
Yeah.
don't know Marissa that well because she moved in, I guess, recently from New York.
Yeah, she came. She's been here for 10 years,
Oh, okay.
and I'm sure you're going to have a chance to interview her. I don't want to tell her story for her,
Right.
but I had a long conversation with her, probably about a 45-minute conversation with her last night. It was a great conversation. We talked about the city, talked about the obstacles ahead of us. I think Marissa is the pragmatist among us. Me and Rick Cotta are like we're like full steam ahead, and she's like, hold on, guys, we got to take a look at this stuff. So I think it takes all types to be on a commission. My wife's good at that. I have all these tremendous ideas, and my wife's right there to bring me back down to reality sometimes. So I think Marissa, she definitely brings a dimension of realism to what we can accomplish, which you always need that voice. And she's very smart, she's very aggressive, and she's a hard worker, and I think she's going to be a very great asset to the commission as a whole. And then we have Rick Cott. I graduated with Rick
Yep.
Cott, and I actually saw Rick today. He stopped out when we drove I was getting a haircut today, and I was running late, but we talked a little bit, and every day we talk two or three times a day now. I think we're going to work very closely together because he plans on being in revenue and finance. I'm going to be public affairs, so we're going to be very closely related in what we do. And then we got Sherman Taylor, who spent all the years in law enforcement and
exactly.
public safety,
Yeah.
so he's going to be a great asset to the public safety team. And I think everything fell together so well that we really couldn't ask for more.
So we've known each other for what, a month?
We've known each other for about, a little over a month.
Yeah. I just got a nasty comment from some idiot that says, another Quinn puppet. Yeah, I knew the guy a month for a month. Yeah.
Well, the funny thing, if you could see half the things that, what happens is, one thing I want to talk about a little bit is factions. And what happens is when commissioners and I've talked to a lot of commissioners, that people on the outside try to get their hooks into you and pull you one direction or another, and then factions start to happen.
Yeah.
This faction has a hold of this commissioner, this faction has a hold, and then it becomes, it becomes very antagonistic between commissioners, and that's the one thing we're going to work against. We're going to work against having factions. And we've known each other for a grand total of about 6 weeks at the most. And this is the third time I've seen you in person.
Yes, that's right.
So
that's true.
Hey, I'm nice to be your puppet. So it just, people say the silliest things. If I could collect all the things that people said about me, and I think I've tolerated more than anybody in this campaign probably combined. But you know what? Here's what is, and kind of the lengths that people go to. It's nice that you have a candidate you like, and it's nice that somebody else has a candidate, but that doesn't mean you have to destroy somebody to get what you want. Support your candidate.
Yeah, there's 5 positions.
There's 5 positions. So I think some people who, had people that they were very close to spent more time attacking me than they did,
that's true.
than they did on the people that they even knew. And what they say, no publicity is bad publicity. So maybe these guys helped me a little bit. But that's over with, and I don't hold any grudges.
Bad publicity is good. Yeah, I think it's
something like that.
Yeah, any publicity is good. Yeah.
But the thing is that, that's over with. That's, I don't hold any grudges, and I don't hold any ill will toward anybody. It's part of the game. I have a thick skin.
Yeah.
I've been in, martial arts and MMA and jiu-jitsu, and, having somebody say something mean to me online is not like having a 300-pound guy trying to choke me. So I think I can handle it. This is a big boy sport, and the thing that I want people to realize is that the people who are going to try to get in the way of this commission are holding back Millville.
Yeah, absolutely.
And if they say lead, follow, or get out of the way. And that goes with this. We don't mind people, coming to the podium and saying, hey, what's going on here? What's going on here? That's fine. That's part of the democratic process.
Sure.
But there are people who are trying to be obstructionists just for the sake of being an obstructionist.
Yeah, yes.
And you've seen that when you were in
Absolutely.
commission.
Yep. It's just constant. And it's like, if they put half as much effort into being positive
Right.
as they are negative, they could be an asset because they care, but it's just negative. And that's one of the things that is not fun.
And it
It's
almost
not
feels like this city has, sometimes it's had a cloud sitting over it.
Yeah,
Like a
yeah.
dark cloud sitting over
Yeah.
it. And it turns everybody negative. The one thing I want to say to people out there, whether you supported me or not, the election is over. Help us. you trying to hurt anybody on the commission doesn't do anyone any good. It doesn't do you any good as a citizen here. It doesn't do me any good as a commissioner or any of the other commissioners. Our goal is to make this place better. Come up with solutions, come up with ideas. Call us up and tell us how you want to be a part of making this city better. We are going to bring a new life and a new enthusiasm and a breath of fresh air into this city, and we're very excited to the direction that we're going to take it. And we want your support. Now, maybe you didn't support me. Maybe you don't like me. Maybe we had a bad interaction someday. The commissioners that are on there, we're what you're stuck with. And we want to just stress to everyone out there that we are here to help you. We are here to make this city a better place. And that's our only goal. You know, I always say it's a thankless job. But we're here not for ourselves. We're here for every person that lives in Millville.
No, I totally believe you. And like I say, I guess 5 or 6 weeks ago when I first met Dan, we sat in my conference room. And I'm like, oh my goodness, this guy's got it together. But that's what my argument's always been. You need somebody that's got personality and can sell. He can do that. He's done that. If you could go sell vacuum cleaners door to door, you could sell anything. You'll be able to sell the city of Millville to everybody.
Well, that's the point. You know, I've spent 30 years in basically sales. And, you know, even running my own business
Sure.
with, I have to, so think of it this way, Jim, it's kind of funny. I thought about this the other day. I have to convince people to pay me $125 a month to come in and get choked out by people. That's a tough sale. You know?
You're a good
Hey, Jim,
salesperson.
you want to come out and get choked? Pay me $125 and I'll choke you right now. But that's really that's what I've done for the past 18 years. I run an MMA gym and a jiu-jitsu gym and personal training. So I pay people. The people pay me to make them suffer for an hour too for my personal training. So it's you know, jiu-jitsu, sometimes it's a tough sell, but you know, you got to do it. And I spent time in the nursery industry for about 15 years, and I was in sales management and sales for 15 years for Ferrucci Nurseries. Then I went on my own had my own sales company. So I've been selling for over 30 years, and that's what I think the city does need.
They do. There's no question. And that's why I was so impressed with you, because I saw in you a lot of the things that I brought to the table. And the other good thing is that I was impressed when I got elected mayor. Mayor's a part-time job. But fortunately for me, I had my own business. It was going very, very well. So I went down there every single day. And you need to give support to the employees. You don't need to be negative to them. You need to be supportive of them. And we didn't lose employees like they've lost the last 4 years. People stayed, they did their job. And again, it wasn't just me or the other commissioners. It was the people that worked for us, for the city. We had Kim Ayers, Don Ayers, John Newb, all kind of great people, and they helped raise us up. So that's what you need to be able to move the city forward. And I'm sure, Dan, you'll be able to do that. You've got some, you know, I'll tell you truthfully, I don't go in City Hall because of one reason in particular. I go pay my taxes at the drive-through window.
Right.
But they kept turning over people. The city clerk, I don't even know who it is. And, you know, in fact, somebody told me yesterday there's like 3 people left that I would know from when I was the mayor. That's not a good thing, because you need to try to keep them.
Yeah, right now I think we have 256 city employees, and I'd like to send a special message out to them. I know that things have been tough the past 4 years, and I've talked to so many city employees the past 4 years who are discouraged, they're upset, they're disgusted with what's going on in the city. They've been treated poorly. Some of you have supported me, some of you have not supported me. Let me tell you this, a new day is coming, a new dawn is coming for Millville, and we are looking out for the city employees, because without the city employees, nothing gets done.
Absolutely.
So the first people we have to take care of are the city employees. And if we can get this city cooking on building, a tax base.
Yes.
We don't have a tax base that supports our current appropriations. And that's the first thing we're going to work on. Public safety, number one. That public safety and building our tax base go hand in hand.
Yeah.
If you're going to have trouble building the tax base unless we take care of public safety.
Yep.
And so that's the first thing we're going to take a real hard look at, and then we're going to build that tax base up. Nobody wants their taxes raised. Nobody wants to pay more taxes. But if we have a bigger tax base, we're going to be able to afford better employees, to pay the employees better, infrastructure, and everything flows from that. So public safety, a bigger tax base, and everything else will almost, there was a funny saying that I see online all the time. It says, money can't buy happiness. And what I see some people type sometimes say, money would virtually solve every one of my problems right now. And that's kind of what it comes to with the city. There's a lot of problems in the city, and money could solve a lot of our problems right now. It'll make a lot of people happier if they're paid more. I'm not making any promises, but there's some tough times ahead. I do want to say that. But I want to give the city employees hope. And I want to give them hope that this place is going to be a better place in 4 years. I don't think I'm going to run for a second term, Jim, just to be honest with you. But I do want to say my goal is to get results within 4 years. If I can walk away saying, hey, we brought in 40 businesses, our tax base is, we bring in now $50 million a year and we only spend 40, and we have a $10 million a real $10 million surplus every year. That's going to be results that I want to live with. I'm just throwing numbers out there. But that's what I want. I want results from these 4 years. If I don't get results, I run a competitive jiu-jitsu team as well. And our goal is, we took almost 90 people to a tournament one year.
Wow.
It's been a little slower. It's been a little slower since COVID, but the year right before COVID, we took 90 people to a tournament. And I tell people, we're at this tournament to win. You're at this tournament to win matches. You're at this tournament, for the team to get first place. And we've done that. We've won big regional tournaments. First place 2 years ago, we ran first the 2 prior years, and we got second out of almost 200 teams.
Wow.
A little
fantastic.
team in Millville. Yeah, we won world championships, our little team in Millville. So my goal is to succeed at everything I do. When I got my master's degree, I was chosen as the #1 student in the entire major. And I'm not doing that to brag, but I'm just making the point that when I set my mind to do something, I want to be the best. And not because I have an ego, because I want to prove that we can do what we want to do. And that's how I feel about Millville. And I know that's how Rick feels. I know that's how Sherman feels, Marissa and Carol. I know we all have that same attitude to push this city to new heights.
And that's exciting. It really is, folks. We'll be back to talk with Mayor-elect Dan Dixon right after these messages.
New Jersey Motorsports Park. Experience the adrenaline rush of go-karting on our challenging tracks, with arrive and drive sessions, available for all skill levels. Looking for something even more daring? Try your hand at axe throwing, and see if you can hit the bullseye. After a day of excitement, relax at the Finish Line Pub Restaurant, and enjoy delicious food and drinks. Group experiences are also available, so bring your friends and family. For an unforgettable adventure, visit NJMP.com to learn more and book your experience today.
At Mintz Insurance, we're proud to have been serving our customers for nearly 80 years, offering 30 different insurance products for your auto, home, and business. And to help ensure that you're getting the best rates possible, we give you up to 3 quotes for every policy, so you can choose what's right for you. At Mintz, we're part of the community. Local representatives, supporting events, and proud of it. It's part of who we are. Mintz Insurance. Call today and find out how we can help you save on insurance, or visit us at mintzinsurance.com.
More than a century ago, General Tire was born, right here in America. Since then, we've made a name for ourselves by making tires you can depend on. Tires built to handle any road this country can throw at them, and relied on by every kind of driver. So you know that no matter where life takes you, with General Tire, anywhere is possible.
We're all looking for God. All the signs point to, there is really a God. We try to find Him in all kinds of ways, in all kinds of places, and through all kinds of things. But there's only one way to find Him. That's by personal experience with Him. Come visit us this Sunday. We can introduce you to Him. New Life Church, Millville, New Jersey.
Welcome back to Inside Track. My special guest is Mayor-elect Dan Dixon, and we're talking about some of the things that a mayor-elect is looking to do. And I agree with you, Dan, as I look at the people. Again, I don't know Marissa Ranello, but I'm sure she'll do a great job. And
She will.
And everybody there is moving in the same direction, and that's so important. It really is. In fact, one of my wonderful employees that's in the city now, I saw her out to dinner with her husband the other night, and she said to me, this was before the election, she said, Jim, I can't take it anymore. I'm leaving in April. Now when I see her, I'm going to say, honey, stay.
Stick it
Because
out.
you'll be a lot better. It's not going to be like the last 4 years were in the city of Millville. And when you look at the last 4 years, my goodness, I have to tell you, I own a building on High Street in Millville. I got to keep the doors locked when my bookkeeper's in there by herself. And also, one building away from my building, there was a murder on a Friday night. My daughter's in my building, hears all these gunshots. Is this what we want? Come on, folks, this is crazy. And that's what you were saying too, Dan. I mean, how do you bring, first of all, High Street, when I got elected in 1997, it was probably almost as bad as it is now. It's horrible now. It's emptiness. There's no businesses. And when I finished office, we were at 95% occupancy. And I predict with this guy, it's going to be the same way. And the whole group, not just Dan,
whole
but
group, yes.
everybody's going to work to bring people forward. But I've told this story many a time. And Dan, I don't know if I told you, but when I was the mayor, a young man was killed on Mulberry Street between 3rd and 4th. They went right in his house, shot and killed him. And Dave Ennis, who was a pastor in Millville, said to me, would you come to the candlelight vigil in honor of this young man? I said, sure, I will. So I went, I extended my condolences to the young man's mother and sister. And then I said to the crowd in front of me, I said, I believe strongly anybody possessing an illegal gun should do 3 to 5 years in prison. As soon as I came off the porch, one of the police officers came over to me and put his hand on my shoulder. He said, hey, Mayor, half the people you just said that to are packing right now. I went, oh, my God. That's how dumb I am. I didn't realize that.
Oh, I totally believe it. You know, illegal guns are very easy to get.
Yeah.
Well, now we have, you know, and no matter how you feel about guns, you have concealed carry now, which people feel like they need to conceal carry just to defend themselves in public because the
Well, you know
guns
some areas where you threw it around. You probably like a concealed weapon.
But I think the one we're gonna, you know, when we have our first meeting, this new commission, when we have our first meeting where we're gonna game plan together, one of the things we're gonna look at are the ways that we can reduce crime, and I think you can hit it from a lot of different directions. Marissa, she's gonna talk about hitting it from, you know, the public property. You know, having better lit spaces, having areas where, you know, if there's lots of shrubbery and overgrowth where criminals are hanging out, you know, clearing that out. That's one simple way. That's very inexpensive. Putting streetlights where there's supposed to be streetlights. You know, criminals want to be in the dark.
Sure.
So if you better light areas where that criminal activity is happening, that's a very simple and easy way to get started. Criminal nuisance property enforcement is huge, and I don't want to get into too much of the weeds here with you because there's some things that have to happen to make this work, but that's one thing that we're not taking advantage of. That's going to be a comprehensive, and if you want to see my plan, go on my plan. I have it all detailed out there. You know exactly how we're going to address that issue. But criminal nuisance property is where you go after the landlords.
Yes, exactly.
So if you have somebody who's, you know, getting constant criminal complaints, we already have an ordinance in place,
Yes, we
Jim,
do. Yeah.
that if 5 calls to one property in 90 days, you can cite them and fine them, the landlord.
Yes.
And if you do that enough to a landlord, do you think they're going to put the better people into these certain houses? Absolutely. You know, and people say, what about Section 8? Well, Section 8 is it's a state program that you can't discriminate against. So if I want to rent a house from you and you say, sure, let's rent, and I say, oh yeah, I'm using Section 8, you can't discriminate against me for using Section 8. And I'm not trying to suggest for 1 second that people that use Section 8 are bad people.
No.
I think there are probably about 300 or 400 people in this city who make it bad for everyone. And if we can find those people and target those people who are the cause of all the disruption in the city. And we have a lot of different avenues to do that. I don't think it's been done. I know it hasn't been done. It's not I don't think it's been done. I know it hasn't been done where we have really targeted these people. I mean, if we took a drive down Buck Street right now, there's an open air drug market right there.
Yeah, I just came down Buck Street to get here.
Yeah.
Yep.
Don't do that.
Yeah, I did stop.
But yeah, don't stop. There's areas where we know, and I'm not blaming the police either. I gotta watch everything you say because people will tune in on one little line that you say. You know this. The police have been chronically understaffed.
Yes.
And they've been chronically understaffed because we're told we don't have the money to pay them well. So they come in, they get their training, and then 2 years later they make $20,000 a year more in Vineland for the same amount of experience, or they go to become state police, or they go over to the. People are leaving Millville to go to the county now. That's never happened.
No, because
the county people always
pay.
came to Millville. Now people are leaving Millville to go to the county.
Well, and what you're saying is so true, is that you need to invest in public safety. My God, it's like Dan and I were talking about, and you mentioned it earlier. I mean, luckily, we live at Union Lake, but I know a lot of people that are friends of mine that have moved out of town, will not live in the town anymore, and that's sad. Why? Because they don't feel safe, for gosh sakes.
Well, you and me live in a nice neighborhood. We live in a good neyborhood. It's a safe neighborhood, but we could walk in 5 minutes to a place where we would get shot.
Oh, absolutely.
It's that's how that Millville is an
right
interesting place where
Yep.
you might have a very safe neighborhood here, and across the street, people are getting shot.
Yeah.
And I think the first item on our agenda for our meeting that we're going to have is going to be public safety. And everyone's going to be involved. Every department. How can I'm going to have a little on the board. I'm going to say public safety, and how can your department move toward a safer city? And we're going to all have ideas. We're going to put all our ideas. It's going to be just an idea session where we're going to walk away with 200 or 300 ideas, and then we're going to narrow it down to the best ideas, and then we're going to go in with a real strong game plan on how to get this city back to where it needs. Public safety is number one in my heart. Sherman Taylor's going to be leading up that department. Very happy about that. The thing is, we are all on the same page.
Yep. And you got Rick Cott, who was the PBA president, super guy, police officer. He's now the PAL instructor for Vineland. Mayor Finucci loves him. I've always liked Rick. He's a great guy, and he can help Sherman because they both work in public safety.
Well, one of the things me and Rick were talking about was in the past and even currently, you have these 5 silos. You have public affairs, public safety. You have revenue and finance. You have streets and roads, and parks and public property. And it's always been thought of as these are all separate departments. Don't you come into my department.
Yeah, no,
don't you talk about my department. Don't you be involved with it.
No,
and we are going to have a new attitude that we are one commission. And if I need help with something that I don't understand or that I need support, I'm going to say, hey, Rick, hey, Marissa, can you come support me on this? This is what I'm trying to accomplish. If Marissa comes to me and Rick or Sherman and says, you know what, I'm having an issue here, let's tackle this together. We are going to work together as one commission, all for one for all, like the Three Musketeers. That's kind of how I see it. And that's the one thing that I want this commission to be different, is that we are not territorial. Jim, don't you dare get involved in that's my department. How dare you get involved?
Yep.
If we are one commission, I'm there to support you, you're there to support me, and that's the only way this is going to work.
Well, Dan, when I got elected in 1997, I had Jimmy Parent, Joe Durella, John Hollingshead, and Jeff Trout. We did that. And I don't like the commission form of government. I've told you that, folks, many times. There's only like a dozen left in the state of New Jersey.
I think it's 2 now.
Is it 2?
I think it's down to 2.
Okay, because I'd heard 6 lately, so it's 2. What happens is what Dan is just saying is, oh, that's my department. So it's like 5 mini mayors instead of all working together. Oh, don't you tell me what to do in my department. That's my department. And that's why I tried when I was there to get the petition on the ballot to have people maybe change it to like most cities are, mayor council, Vineland, Bridgeton. Vineland's doing phenomenal. But I couldn't get the commissioners to come along with me because they didn't want to give it their power. Instead of being a council person, they want to be commissioner, because commissioners like 5 mini mayors, but it doesn't really work. I think with what you're saying, we're all going to cooperate.
Maybe we can show that it can. And I've been looking into our form of government a little deeper, and I'm going to have it down pat by the time we're there. under the Walsh Act, it gives commissioners more hands-on power than, say, maybe some mayor forms of government do.
Well, especially the council people.
Yeah, so a council person, they have to be very hands-off with not day-to-day but with operations and, vision of a department. The nice thing about the commission is that it gives us a lot of hands-on power of the direction of the department, which is a great thing. Where it's gone wrong is when things become factionalized. Yeah. You get people who are out of power who are still trying to influence, and I hope that doesn't happen. I hope there's people who are on the sidelines now who will say, you know what, I didn't win. It's time for me to take a step back and do what's best for the city and not try to get involved and try to ruin things for spite. I hope that doesn't happen. I hope that this commission is given a chance, and I think under the way we have it, it's not going to get factionalized, and we really want to work together and do what's best.
Yeah, I'm excited about that. I really am. I do want to say that County Commissioner Bob Ostino said congratulations to the new mayor-elect, Dan Dixon. Thank you, Bob.
Thank you, Bob.
And we'll be back with more right after these messages.
New Jersey Motorsports Park. Experience the adrenaline rush of go-karting on our challenging tracks, with arrive and drive sessions, available for all skill levels. Looking for something even more daring? Try your hand at axe throwing, and see if you can hit the bullseye. After a day of excitement, relax at the Finish Line Pub Restaurant, and enjoy delicious food and drinks. Group experiences are also available, so bring your friends and family. For an unforgettable adventure, visit NJMP.com to learn more and book your experience today.
At Mintz Insurance, we're proud to have been serving our customers for nearly 80 years, offering 30 different insurance products for your auto, home, and business. And to help ensure that you're getting the best rates possible, we give you up to 3 quotes for every policy, so you can choose what's right for you. At Mintz, we're part of the community, local representatives, supporting events, and proud of it. It's part of who we are. Mintz Insurance. Call today and find out how we can help you save on insurance, or visit us at mintzinsurance.com.
More than a century ago, General Tire was born, right here in America. Since then, we've made a name for ourselves by making tires you can depend on. Tires built to handle any road this country can throw at them, and relied on by every kind of driver. So you know that no matter where life takes you, with General Tire, anywhere is possible.
We're all looking for God. All the signs point to, there is really a God. We try to find him in all kinds of ways, in all kinds of places, and through all kinds of things. But there's only one way to find him. That's by personal experience with him. Come visit us this Sunday. We can introduce you to him. New Life Church, Millville, New Jersey.
New Jersey Motorsports Park. Experience the adrenaline rush of go-karting on our challenging tracks, with arrive and drive sessions, available for all skill levels. Looking for something even more daring? Try your hand at axe throwing, and see if you can hit the bullseye. After a day of excitement, relax at the Finish Line Pub Restaurant, and enjoy delicious food and drinks. Group experiences are also available, so bring your friends and family. For an unforgettable adventure, visit NJMP.com to learn more and book your experience today.
Welcome back to the Finish Line Pub at the New Jersey Motorsports Park. And I want to thank Brad Scott and all the people at the New Jersey Motorsports Park for their hospitality. And I'll tell you what, Dan, the food here is fantastic. And I mentioned about they did the thing for Rick, the vegan meal for Rick. But the food, folks, is probably one of the best restaurants in Millville. It's hidden. It's out here. The prices are phenomenal. Joe Pepitone and I were here the other night, had a phenomenal shrimp, spinach salad with walnuts, and strawberries, and all that stuff. $15. It was delicious.
Wow.
And everything I've ever had here is very, very good. And it is a little different because you got to drive in. You got to say to the security, I'm going to go eat. They'll say, okay, fine, enjoy your meal. But think about that sometime when you want to go get a really good meal, because this is one of the best places in Millville to have dinner. And believe I go out almost every night to dinner, so in fact, stop out if you can. So Dan, where's your favorite restaurant?
Well, me and my wife, we generally go to 3 places. Well, 4. We either go to the Queen Diner.
Yeah. Oh, thank you, because they're an advertiser.
Okay.
And you'll be coming in and being interviewed in the Queen Diner.
Okay, so there's the Queen Diner. We also go to Verna's. We're very
Oh,
close
isn't she?
friends.
In fact,
I
Verna's-
love
she's a
Verna.
sweet-
Thank you for everything. You are a saint.
She
I
is,
appreciate
isn't
it.
she?
She
She
is.
really
I
is.
love her,
Yep.
and she's been a great supporter of me through this entire election. Even when things got kind of hairy there, she was right there in my corner, and I can't say enough. Verna and Tara, your daughter Tara, thank you so much. I appreciate that. And then we sometimes go to Lynn's.
Oh, she's
Lynn's,
great
yep,
too.
Lynn's
Yeah.
great.
Lynn
Friends with
Resch.
her son, Chris Resch.
Yeah, sure. He was a great police officer.
I graduated with Chris. So
Oh,
me, Rick
we got
Cott,
to get him
Chris
back on the
Resch.
police department.
And I'm going to say this, and I don't want to get over my skis because I tend to do that. The one thing that Vineland does well, right now Millville's understaffed. And when we hire a police officer, it takes 9 months for that police officer to be a operating on his own police officer, because you have a 6-month academy, and then you have to train them, field training, for another 3 or 4 months until they're allowed to be on their own.
Yeah.
And we are understaffed. We have some guys in the academy, but the one thing Vineland does really well is they hire retired police officers as Class 2 officers.
Yep.
They're cheaper because you don't need to pay
Right.
into a pension. You don't need to
Exactly.
pay into, they have insurance,
right,
medical.
exactly, yeah.
So one of my good friends, who's also a very good friend of mine, Jeff Hoffman, he works as a Class 2 for Millville. And I think that would be a great way, and I'm not trying to get ahead of myself, but I think that'd be a great way
I
that
do
Millville
too. Yeah.
could plug the gaps, the employment gaps.
Yeah.
Because there's people who, Rick Cott's working for Vineland
Yep.
as a Class 2.
Yeah.
Why couldn't he have come and worked for Millville
Yeah.
20 hours a week? And somebody who knows Millville, somebody
Yeah.
who knows how the department works.
Yeah.
And, those are some things that we're going to be exploring. Ross Hoffman's a friend of mine, and I'm not going to, try to tell, or Sherman Taylor, I'm not going to try to get out ahead of those guys. When we talk, I'm sure Sherman and Ross have been talking and collaborating, and I'm sure they have some great ideas and directions to take the city.
Well, it's interesting you said it. When Joe Pepitone is one of my best friends, you became good friends with Joe too. When he was public safety director, I said to him, Joe, near Labor Day, get out of the shore. You got all these Special 2s in all the shore communities, and he was able to get one. And the guy was a teacher, so he'd work on weekends and things like that. But as Dan's saying, Special 2s are less money because you don't have to pay their benefits, you don't have to pay their insurance, you don't have to pay a pension, and all those things. And they're trained. They have all kind of training. It was funny, when I first got elected mayor in 1997, we had 19 Special 1s, not 19. Now you have one, Sills, and he's this pet or animal control officer.
Right.
And truthfully, now I wouldn't put a Special 1 in Center City because he doesn't have a gun or she doesn't have a gun.
Right.
And it wouldn't be safe to have them walking. That's sad to say, but that's a fact. Hopefully it's going to get better under the new administration.
Yeah, and that's something actually Jeff Hoffman, he works out at the gym with me, and he said, why don't we send somebody down to the boardwalk, and the season's coming to a close, and we almost did it. We ran out of time. I said, why don't we go? Let's just go do it.
Yeah.
We have a flyer. We don't need to ask anybody's permission. Let's just grab a flyer and walk down. And I'd say they're probably laying off 40% of their force
Sure.
down there
Oh,
after the summer.
absolutely. Yeah.
Just hand flyers to guys. Hey, Millville's hiring. Millville's hiring. Millville's hiring. And it didn't happen. And I wish it had.
Yeah.
I wish it had.
At least, like you said, if you can get Chris Resch or some of the guys that were great, they were all really good officers.
Well, Chris actually runs a great. I don't know if you know what Chris does now. He runs a
company.
Blacktop,
Yeah.
Blacktop,
Right,
what
yes.
is it?
Yeah, they seal your driveway.
Seal coating
Yeah,
company,
right,
and
yeah.
he did my driveway, Spartan, I think it's called Spartan.
Uh-huh.
So there's a plug for you, Chris. So
Yeah.
and I'm not in office, so I can do that.
He's a
But he's a good guy, and
He is.
he just happened to come
Well,
up in conversation. So, but
And it's interesting, getting back to the food thing. We are so lucky in Millville. You've got Verna's that we talked about, fabulous foods. She's one of the nicest people.
She really is.
Dan said she's like a saint. And you got Lynn Resch.
She's
Just
awesome, too.
She's a wonderful lady. Food is fabulous. I like Bruni's Burgers. I don't know if you ever.
that's
Rob
one place
Bruni.
I've never really
Oh,
gone.
you got to go.
I
see
got to try
Rob.
it.
Yeah. In fact, I did his wedding about 5 or 6 years ago.
Okay.
And of course, Jim's Lunch is going to be reopening again. And it's interesting because they're all unique places, like Lynn's and Verna's, they're unique. And,
They're not chains. They're not just
no,
chains.
exactly. And you get that special food that's fabulous.
And they all have their own
Tasty.
little things they do well, and
Yeah,
their own little different
yeah.
ambiance. If I want to hang out in a nice close environment, I'll go to Lynn's because it's kind of tight and you get to talk to everybody that's around you.
Yeah.
If I need a little more privacy, I might go to the Queen and sit all the way in the back with somebody.
Yeah.
So it's I like the restaurants. I like going to. I think somebody's making fun of me because the last time I was on camera, then I said I really enjoy going to lunch. That's no. And whoever says what my favorite food is in the chat, you get an extra 25 bonus points. There's a few guys that tease me about what I like to eat as my special meal. But if you get a little bonus if you can put that in the chat.
Well, here's a good comment from a great guy. Kenny Sherritt says, Dan, the retired guys are great, but we also need to hire some younger class 1 and 2 officers
Oh, yeah.
to create a pipeline. And you're right, there's no question
Absolutely,
about it.
absolutely. When I spent about the retired guys, I'm thinking they would be nice to fill some gaps until these other younger guys come on
Yeah.
board. And these older guys, they were instrumental. Like you talk to Ross and you talk to guys that were around 20, 30 years ago. They were guys that would be proactive on the police force, where they would go around and proactively look for crime. Right now. There's some things in the county and the state that make police forces afraid to be proactive, but these older guys have experience. A lot of the newer guys have never been out being proactive, part of a inner city task force. And these older guys that I used to train these guys at my gym. There was guys Danny Ayers and Colt Gibson and Richie Reynolds. They would come out and train with me. They were part of the inner city task force, where they would just drive around and they would stop trouble before it happened. And I was teaching them, self-defense and not self-defense, tactical, defense. When this is a situation. This guy has a knife. This guy has this. You're caught here, and we would get down and dirty with each other and really and fight with each other. And Danny Ayers told me some great stories where when guys would try to fight him, where it's amazing. I think it's the funniest story. He was in a basement with a guy one time, and hopefully you don't get mad at me telling this story, Danny. They were in a basement, and this guy started fighting with him. And we were teaching hip throws that week, where you take somebody and you throw them over your hip. And there was this house where there was this big giant bucket of sewage that they were collecting. There was a leak in their pipe, and he took the guy and flung him, and the guy landed right into the big bucket of sewage. And that's a story I will never forget, because we were teaching it that week, and I just remember that story. So that's a great story for Danny Ayers. But all these guys who have this experience that they can bring back and give to the younger guys about these younger guys, some of them never done proactive work at all. So we need that older experience to come back in and teach these younger guys, how to do that.
Well, 2 of my favorite police officers from when I was there, Junior Duffield, I don't know if you know Junior, super guy. I think he's working in the courts. And
Okay.
Paul Deckard, who was a sergeant when I was there, and Paul's also
He's working the courts too. I
as
know
well.
he works with my friend Jeff Hoffman.
Oh, boy, Jeff is great.
Yeah, Jeff's a great guy.
It's funny, I'm so old. I remember when Jeff was the checker at the Acme in Millville, the old Acme. Well,
Okay.
we don't have an Acme now. And we kept talking, he and I, about him becoming a police officer. He was so excited about it, and he did, and he was a great officer.
Well, he was a police officer, I think, about 10 years, and then he went up to Human
We
Services.
lost, unfortunately, yes.
We lost a lot of time
great
during that
officers.
time.
I think Chris went too. Or,
I think Chris was up there. There was a guy named Mike Cassidy went up
Yes,
there.
right. Yeah.
A guy named, who else was up there? Are we still on? There we are. A guy named Mike Cassidy went up there.
Yeah.
Bruce Cooper was up there working.
Yes,
You remember
exactly.
Bruce?
I do, sure. Yeah.
So there was a bunch of guys that left
Yeah,
Millville and
and
went up
that was
there.
because they weren't
Yes,
happy, so
yeah.
they left for whatever reason.
So-
And that's what hurts, to lose them. But anyway, enough with the police department. You know who I spoke to the other day, in fact, yesterday, is Samantha Cruz. I love Samantha Cruz. She's running the recreation department, and she did tell me we cooperate with the city and we'll be showing the Christmas parade. And if anybody has a business that would like to be a sponsor of the Christmas parade, we'd sure love to have you sponsor it. It will be shown live, and it'll be shown about 20 more times from the time of that Friday night until Christmas. So you get a lot of exposure on that. And something else I wanted to mention is a lot of people have contacted us at Channel 22 and said, why don't you do soccer? Why don't you do girls field hockey? Why don't you do some other things that we don't do, tennis or whatever? Folks, it's all about advertisers. If we can get advertisers to cover the cost of doing those events, we'll do them. But thank God for Bob Connor and a few others that are out there, Complete Care, and a few that do support it. And that's the only way we're able to do it. My people can't work for free. They work pretty cheap, but not for free. So I got to have some, people sponsor these events. But we'd love to carry anything that the high school does. And it's just, in fact, speaking of the high school, Friday, or tonight actually, Millville's playing for, it's Thomas River North, I think. Northern Burlington, thank you, for the semifinal playoffs. And that, you'll see it on Channel 22 and YouTube and Facebook.
Awesome.
And hopefully you can go out to the game too if you have that opportunity. But you know what's nice too, Dan, is that with YouTube, everything we're doing can be seen no matter where the people live.
Right.
Right.
Well, you mentioned Samantha Cruz. She was the very first department head that I met with when I started the campaign.
Oh, no,
I think it was, I announced that I was running. I think I contacted her and went out there and we sat for, a couple hours, and she told me all about department, what she deals with, everything that happens. And very, very awesome person.
She is,
does
yeah.
a tremendous job for the city, and she has a great positive attitude. And I think if everyone in the city had her attitude, this city would be, going a million miles an hour.
Yeah,
She's
very
just
good
she
point.
does her job to the fullest, and she's a great person.
Yeah, she really is, and thank her for that. So, the swearing in is what, the first Tuesday of the month of
I
New
think the
Year's, or is
first-
it New Year's Day?
I think the first Tuesday is the 6th.
I said that'll be the
It's the
swearing in.
6th, so yeah, that's what I think it is.
And I heard somebody's going to be swearing you, and Joe Pepitone told me last night.
Yeah, we were talking about that. So yeah, I met Joe Pepitone. He came out to my. I had a meet and greet out at my building.
Oh, okay.
At
I'm
my
sorry.
building, and I didn't know who Joe Pepitone was. I didn't, know anything about him, and we don't exactly fall on the same side of the aisle when it comes to politics.
That's right.
But the one thing I think people need to understand is that just because you might be a Republican and somebody else might be a Democrat doesn't mean you can't like them and get along with them and find solutions. We get along real great. We've gotten to know each other, over this past, 1 month that I've become your puppet. So, but I think we live in a time where we're so polarized that nobody wants to get along with, with anyone else if there's a different letter behind their name. And I don't think government's going to work here locally if we keep that attitude. And that's a problem. That's a problem. If you can't talk to a Democrat if you're a Republican, you can't talk to a Republican if you're a Democrat, we're never going to make solutions because it's about 50-50.
Well, let me tell you, going back to the first year that I got elected, 97, I was a Democrat, Jeff Trout was a Republican, Jimmy Parent was a Democrat, John Hollingshead was a Republican, Joe Terrell was a Democrat. But you know what? We all agreed. We're putting the D's and the R's in the closet.
Right.
And we're going to do what's best for the city of Millville. And we had a phenomenal 4 years. We had a phenomenal 8 years. We had a great 12 years that things progressed. Look at the Union Lake Crossing Shopping Center. That was under my being the mayor. And we took flack from all the negative people. Oh, you can't give them an abatement. Same here, the motorsports park. You can't give them an abatement. You know what? Right now, the motorsports park is contributing millions and millions of dollars in rateables through their exotic car garages. Each one of those goes for $380,000. They got 70 some of them and are continuing to build.
And that's where you find people who don't understand how business works. Getting businesses to come to Millville is a competitive process. So when you have a competitive process, and there's one business that wants to open up a big warehouse somewhere, there are hundreds of cities competing to get that business to come. Now, where are they going to go, Jim? They're going to go to whoever gives them the best deal.
Sure, exactly.
And when you have to give pilot programs or abatements to these people to get them here. Now, sometimes abatements don't make any sense and you don't do them. If they're not bringing any jobs and you're not going to make any money for 30 years and there's no other benefit to it, maybe you say no to that. But if there's a business that's going to bring other things, and you can have a business here and give a pilot program too that's going to have 1,000 jobs, you don't say no to that.
No, exactly.
And you get as competitive as you can. Because you know what? If we hadn't given abatement to the Target shopping center, it would have gone somewhere else.
You would have had nothing.
And this place we're at right now, if we hadn't given abatement here, it wouldn't be here right now.
Yep.
So these people that are totally dead set against abatements have no idea how business works. The one thing I'm going to do is I'm going to find out what properties are on abatement, and just so I have a list of what's on abatement, and I'm going to get a real good idea of what our tax base is and how we can grow it. That's kind of one of the first things I'm going to do starting next week.
Well, you know what, buddy? The hour flew by. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it.
Thank you. And folks, this is a good man. You're lucky. You got a good person that's going to be your mayor for the next 4 years, and please be supportive.
Thank you.
And if you have input, Dan will listen to it.
Absolutely.
He'll do things good, and he's got a good team. The 4 people with him, they're all going to work together, which is wonderful. And I like all of them. So
I am just one of 5 people, so
yeah,
I'm looking forward to working with everyone.
Anyway, thank you, Ryan Narowski, for producing the show today. Thank you, Dan, for being with us, and thank you all for watching. We'll see you soon. Bye-bye.
This has been a QBC television production, in association with our partners and sponsors. QBC broadcasts on Comcast Cable Channel 22, and live streams its programming on Facebook and YouTube. All rights reserved by Quinn Media and QBC, programming that serves the South Jersey market.